Does it cost money to start a podcast? Well, maybe a little bit. You can get started for free, but it would probably be in your best interest to spend a little bit of money. I'm going to break it down for you, and we will be able to sort through some of the investments, and hopefully you won't throw your money away in getting started and maybe make some wiser investments later on as you grow. So by the end of this video, you're going to see, I'm going to show you a minimum investment, a medium investment, and of course a maximum investment, if that's what you're so inclined to do, to get you started on the right track to maybe even open a few options that you didn't realize existed. If you're going to be building a budget, some things to consider, especially when you take the dive into business podcasting. So let's jump in. I'm Nick Natarella with AdWise Creative. I've been editing and producing radio commercials and copywriting for decades now, almost 30 years, over 25. And I want to bring this to you because there's some things you can do to get started immediately. It's the audio gear that I really do know the best. That's my sandbox. That's where I love to play, is in audio. So, for a minimum investment when it comes to starting in a podcast, overall, the one big thing that that it's all gonna boil down to is the hosting. Yes, there are some hosting services out there that do have a free package. However, depending on where you go with it and how you do it, they're going to have certain limitations. There's one that pops up right off the top of my head immediately, and what they do is there's a monthly limit to how much you can upload. And I'm not going to quote the number. I'm just going to pick, let's say it's an hour. So you're going to have 15-minute segments, and you're going to do it 4 times a month, let's say. Okay, fine. So there's your hour. 15 minutes, 4 times, 1 a week, good to go. Next month rolls around and you're doing your first segment, you're doing your first podcast for the month. When you upload number 5, number 1 drops off. Now that does not bode well for archiving purposes and to build an audience. The only thing you're going to have available at any given time is 4. When number 6 uploads, number 2 drops off. When number 7 uploads, number 3 drops. You see how this goes? It would be in your best interest to find a host where you can get going and get moving right off the bat. Maybe it's even a small package. Fine, at least start there. There are several bells and whistles that you're going to have to look for. We can go into that in another video. But the big thing is the hosting. There's really no way around that. You're probably going to want to spend $10, $15, maybe $25 a month in getting your podcast hosted. Now, when it comes to equipment, yeah, you could do it on your phone. Phones are getting better and better and better when it comes to video, that's for sure. There's a big race now. In fact, they've already had one major film already filmed completely and totally on an iPhone. Now I'm just waiting for some major studio to come up with the next Iron Man movie or something like that to be filmed on an iPhone. That has not been done yet. But an independent film has done a complete film on an iPhone. And it played. It did just fine. I mean, after all, if you're going to make the Blair Witch and make it look like you did it on an 8mm, why not? Why not take an iPhone and have it at least in 4K, right? There's a bunch of stuff that you can do. I would not recommend audio straight off your phone. It's crisp, it's clear, but it's still missing a lot of the frequencies and the richness for it. And again, you can do a little bit through EQ and compression, but you can't invent data that isn't there. I would strongly suggest getting a microphone and some kind of something that plugs directly into your computer through a USB connection, a little microphone. In fact, I was going to mention this later, but I'll mention it now. Sweetwater.com. Go to sweetwater.com. They do all kinds of gear. Anything from mics to guitars and amplifiers and their music and editing and production. Go to sweetwater.com and in the search bar type podcast bundle. They have dozens of bundles to choose from, including a single mic to get you started, and I want to say it's $99. So that would be up and running, plugs directly into your laptop or into your computer through a USB, and you can get started right away. There's probably software on your computer that's already there. You can start using it, or one of the most popular ones, and I don't care if you've got the most successful podcast in the world or you're just getting started, a lot of people use Audacity. It's called Audacity. It is a multi-track recorder. which means you can have several different voices. You can have your voice on track 1, a guest, a co-host, all on different tracks, and then have intro and outro music on track 5, and say sound effects throughout if you want to add sound effects if they're appropriate, all on different tracks. That's multi-track editing, which kind of comes in handy, especially for a situation where, let's say, you're recording people in different locations, in different rooms. Every room is going to have a different sound, and that's going to come through in each one of those tracks. So you're going to want to treat them differently. EQ, trying to get rid of that reverb, maybe even some compression, that kind of stuff. You're going to be able to dial it in individually for each track. Good way to go. Start on off for free. Again, it's called Audacity. Your next step up would be a medium investment. A couple of these things that you might want to dive into are maybe buying a webcam. The serious upgrade we'll get to later, but at least a webcam. And now I would make a minimum suggestion on a webcam to be at least HD, 1080p, something that shoots in high definition, that kind of thing. 4K would be great because, and I know we're talking about a podcast, but if you've watched this channel at all, you know my key philosophy is start doing everything in video. Because that puts you one step away, one click away from actually putting this out on YouTube as well. With one click, you've got YouTube and your podcast. So get an HD or 4K camera to start recording your podcasts. You can get a free Zoom account, and especially if you're going to do it for just you. If you're going to do something solo like I'm doing here, you can go, 45 minutes, I think, on a meeting for a Zoom account. But solo, gosh, it's been so long since I checked. I don't think there's a time limit for a solo thing. I know if you've got 2 or more people on there, there is a time limit. That means you can still record people, and Zoom will also do, like I said, separate audio tracks for the various participants. You, a co-host, an interview subject, however you want to play it. Everybody will end up having their own free audio track if you click that on. Be sure to click that on before you hit record. And then when it's all said and done, Zoom will give you the video file, and the video file has audio, and then it'll also give you separate audio files for everybody who did any talking. Again, be sure to click that option in the settings. So now, what have you got? Now you've got your YouTube channel, and the audio is your podcast. And if you start it out with the podcasting in mind, it'll sound just fine. Do your editing, do your add your compression, your EQ, whatever it is that you want to do to doctor it up, set it all out, add your intro and your outro, you've got your podcast episode. And like I said, after that, you upload it to your podcast host. Again, make the minimal investment and be sure to keep all those episodes current and live for any new listeners that come along. Again, this is just a 30,000 foot view. We're really being very, very high level about this. If there's something you need me to dive into, you need something more about microphones or recording software or something like that, let me know in the comments below. Tell me what you're working on. How is your podcast going? I'd love to hear about it. Just make it in the comments below. Now, as promised, the maximum budget. This is where we get to have a lot of fun, if you have the checkbook. So, again, I would suggest you go to sweetwater.com, type in the search bar, type in podcast bundles. And they've got some very cool stuff, anything from a solo microphone to get you started, all the way up to 4 microphones with cables and stands and a Rodecaster Pro and all this kind of stuff, all these bells and whistles that you could possibly order. I want to say the biggest package for 4 microphones and everything that I just listed, and even more so for like $3,200, $3,500. I know it's in the $3,000 range, but they've got them pre-packaged and ready to go. Click on the one you want, and they will ship it out right to you. So that takes care of the microphones. Now, remember, the first thing we invested in was a webcam. So you're going to want to upgrade that to at least a DSLR, if not a mirrorless. Any one of those guys will certainly get you through this video, and it'd be some incredible video. You might even be shooting in 6K, if not 8K. That's gorgeous. Might be a little overkill because you're going to be rendering it down in order to put it on, say, Vimeo or YouTube or wherever you're going to put your videos. You will be rendering it down, but it's okay to render down. You can go 6 to 1080p. You can go 4K to 1080p. You can go 1080p to 1080p. You shouldn't go 720 to 1080p. Then it starts looking fuzzy and furry and out of focus, and all kinds of stuff starts to happen at that point. Don't ever render up, always render across, same or down, okay? And if you're in an interview situation, are you gonna need 2 or 3 of them? Then you're talking 2 or 3 cameras, 2 or 3 lenses, 2 or 3 microphones for the camera. And I can't stress enough when it comes to microphones, something's going to go wrong with the audio. It's gonna happen eventually in your lifetime. Trust me on this one, okay? You need not only audio for everybody to be recorded, but you also need at least 1, if not 2 backups. I'm actually flying with 1 backup today. I've got my lavalier, but what you don't see is there's another microphone over my head pointing at me that is going to be my backup just in case something happens with the lav. I've got that one ready to go. Hopefully we'll have audio no matter what. Now, there are also some people who have gone, I was going to say all out, but I'm going to say they've gone off the deep end. I mean, what you're talking about now is a home TV studio. Really, how much do you really want to invest? What is the maximum? You determine the maximum. Obviously, you can go, like I said, just full blown with a TV studio, and even have a control booth in the next room with the big glass window, that kind of thing. What's that, $1 million, $1.5 million? I mean, how high do you really want to go? You could probably get a really nice one, for a home studio for less than $10,000. Oh, because you're going to be including lighting as well. That would not be unheard of if you're very, very frugal with your budget. But you're not going to get it for free. So think about where you want to go with this, especially when it comes to a podcast. Audio is everything for your podcast. So if your audio is just a smidge off, or it's crackly, or there's some echo in the room, especially with one person talking, this guy's fine, then that person's bouncing around. People will check out faster with bad audio than they will check out for bad video. Audio is very important, so be sure to get that right. Now, to get you started in the video world, I know you asked a podcasting question, and I keep saying, don't forget video, don't forget video. To get you started, I have a free guide. The guide is free, and it's also a guide to free video editing software. A free guide to free software. Does that make sense? Get yours down below. There's a link down in the description. Click on it and download your copy, whether it's for Mac or PC. I've covered it both. This is free editing software to get you started in putting your videos together and extracting your audio for your podcast. Make sense? Dive in today. I'm Nick Natarella with AdWise Creative. Thank you for watching.